Welcome everyone. My name is Alina Revelis, and today we are sitting with Nasheen Liu. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nasheen is a partner and a senior VP of CIO program strategy at the IT Media Group, a media and executive engagement firm serving the CIO and the tech leadership community. Welcome, very impressive. Nasheen co-founded and leads strategic initiatives that actually shape the dialogue among CIOs and technology leaders. She has over 2 decades of experience of technology, strategy development, marketing, and client engagement across multiple companies. From what I know, Nasheen, you also chair a cross-industry CIO advisory board, and you participate in global advisory boards focused on leadership and diversity. You work with women, and you are a big advocate of women and technology, anything leadership, and AI, obviously AI, as well as an investor and a mentor, supporting diverse founders and executives. Welcome. And today we are speaking with Nasheen about uh, the topic of, how do you win with AI and how do leaders and should approach AI to succeed in, in this field? So Nasheen, your career actually spans senior roles in technology strategy and management. How has the journey shaped your view of leadership as AI and digital transformation accelerates?
Well, first of all, thank you, Alina, for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And certainly, my journey in both corporate technology and then working with the CIO community with the IT media group through the last 15 years has taught me a few things about leadership, and especially relevant in the AI era. I think first and foremost, I learned that being a good leader is no longer about having all the right answers. It's about asking the right questions. Because as you know, AI makes answers cheap. Questions asking is really our competitive advantage. So the ability to model curiosity and asking questions is really important. Secondly, whether we're dealing with humans or with AI system, trust is really important, is our
Mhm.
most valuable currency. I think AI transformation isn't a technology shift, is a trust shift. So the biggest blocker is fear and uncertainty, naturally. And leaders have to be very transparent and explicit about what will change, what will remain the same, and what is undecided. So that transparency to instill trust in a time of change and uncertainty is super essential. And thirdly, best leaders today act like ecosystem orchestrators instead of just a commander because AI is moving so fast and cuts across so many different functions. It's virtually impossible to have the ownership belong to one person or
Mhm.
one team. And you have to have the ability to bring everybody together, bring all the stakeholders on board, and to create that conditions for experiments and question asking. So those are the three key things and the leadership traits that I've learned that are truly relevant for the age of AI.
That makes sense. I think what's happening is that historically we have had data teams building AI models, building machine learning models, but that is changing and changing very fast. You have got no-code tools, you have got low-code tools, and I think we are definitely going to see the transformation with AI and technology being put into and absorbed into the business functions where just about any business leaders would be able to start building AI systems and working and collaborating with AI system. Through your work with CIOs and technology leaders, What are you hearing most often today about AI? I mean, where are leaders most excited and what gets them uncertain? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, from what I'm hearing, there are two big sources of excitement. First, leaders are genuinely energized by the possibilities to innovate and drive productivity and better efficiency, not just by automating tasks, but also by augmenting people. So they're starting to see AI as a force multiplier across every function. And secondly, they're excited about what AI can help to break this old trade-off between speed and quality. So now they can do things faster and with better consistency and quality all at once. But what they're most uncertain about is very clear too. So number one is risk. And this is not just technology risk, is operational and reputation risk. The concern here isn't just about that AI will be wrong sometimes. It's that it can be confidently wrong and at scale.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly is the workforce impact, obviously. CIOs know that they will have to rebalance roles, responsibilities, skills, and organizational design. But there's uncertainty around what that really means in practice and how to really show ROI and how to bring people along, make sure everybody's morale still remain high while not losing trust and create that fear and uncertainty.
It does make sense. And I know that these days the AI is on the scorecard of almost every VP out there. And many want to do something with AI. And everybody's under pressure to deliver results with AI. Unfortunately, we are also seeing reports that many are failing to deliver that value at scale with AI. So, from your perspective, what do you think separates those leaders who turn that AI ambition into real business value and those who struggle to make that happen?
Well, it's interesting. So I think from an outcome perspective, first, the leaders who are able to achieve something with AI, who are the winners in this area versus the ones who actually struggle. To me, the key difference is discipline, not access to technology. So first, let me explain. Value creating leaders start with asking the right questions, like I mentioned before. And
Mhm.
questions such as, why are we doing this? What outcomes matters? And how will we measure success? And what changes if this works? So they tend to force that degree of clarity at the get-go versus waiting to turn AI into theater with unclear expectations from the start. And a second, they focus on decision velocity instead of volume. And what that means is the number of pilots mean less to them than choosing projects and initiatives that have the highest impact. And they tend to choose a few high friction workflows like customer expectations, forecasting, incident response, things like that, and use AI to really reduce cycle time and improve decision quality in a measurable way. And thirdly, they also treat AI adoption like a product. And we can all appreciate that you don't really receive the true value of AI from the minute the application is launched. You receive the value when the work gets changed, when the workflow gets improved, when people's behavior started changing. Because in AI, value only shows up when work improves. So that's the bottom line.
That's what I'm seeing as well. When you have got many experiments, but when you don't measure their impact, or when these experiments don't translate into a change in the way that we do business, in the way that the workflow changes and gets improved, impacted, it sounds like we have got AI, but we are not really moving that needle on that bottom line. And that's what I'm also seeing from the industry. Now, I know that you're also very strong advocate for women, diverse leaders in technology. This is also a very important topic that I would like to explore with you today. Why does diversity at the leadership table lead to better outcomes in AI and digital transformation? What are the most practical steps do you feel senior leaders can take to remove those systemic barriers still holding women and underrepresented leaders back?
Okay, so the question has two parts. The first part is why is that important? And then the second part is what can leadership do to make that happen? This is such an important question that's near and dear to my heart because to me, and I've been saying this publicly for years, that diversity and inclusion is not just a moral imperative, it's a business imperative. There are countless studies by reputable organizations that show that diverse teams are higher performing teams. And so diversity is not just a value issue, it's a performance issue, first and foremost. Now, bring that into the AI context. I love how Jensen Huang, the CEO from NVIDIA, describes AI as a 5-layer cake. So on the bottom, you have the compute layers, which are the energy, the chips, and the infrastructure. Then you have the models, and then you have the applications sitting on top. So as you can appreciate, data infuses across the infrastructure layer, and it's also empowering the models layer, right? So data selection, model training, what gets optimized, what gets labeled as truth, and what risk gets tolerated are all shaped by human judgments. Humans are making those decisions. And as you can imagine, if we don't have a pool of diverse talent at the table with different backgrounds, experience, and perspectives, the AI systems are bound to have blind spots. And what that actually does is it will work brilliantly for some people, but it will not for others and might even be harmful to others. And at the end of the day, it will limit the business value of your product. So this is why diversity and inclusion are so important. It's not just a moral imperative, it's a business imperative. And as for what leaders can do to actually implement steps to make sure that diversity and inclusion are part of their corporate culture, first and foremost, I think we as leaders have to really instill that into our promotion and into hiring practice because oftentimes it's a unconscious bias, meaning we tend to hire people we like or we feel most comfortable with. And that's called pattern matching. And I think we should change that to capability matching when it comes to hiring and promoting talent. And secondly, leaders have to sponsor people with action, not just words. So when you have diverse talent in your organization, create those high visible opportunities to put them in front of important people, important initiatives, send them to board discussions, send them to high impact projects to make them visible. And last but not least, I think we have to make inclusion measurable in our transformation programs because when things are not getting measured, they become optional. So those are my three
Mhm.
thoughts in terms of what practical steps leaders can do to make that happen today.
I was reading a report that said that we only employ 22% in the AI force is women. And that means that women are just not there in those important key roles. And it's not something, and also when it comes to actually building the actual models, our data might be biased and not inclusive of marginalized groups of women. And then we end up propagating those biases through those AI systems when it comes to hiring, firing, those important decisions, even selecting applications for just say university programs. If you have an AI system that has got those biases, then we are all in trouble. So I want to ask you also a question. If you're advising senior execs about investing heavily in AI, we do know that, yes, we must invest in the inclusivity and making sure that we are not propagating those biases. But what are those key top strategic questions you would want executives to answer first when it comes to those big investments in AI?
Yeah. So what is top of my mind, number one, is what decision or workflow are we trying to improve? And what measurable business outcome will change if we succeed? That's number one. And I think most technology leaders are asking that question or something similar to that. But number two, it's my experience, not a lot of people are asking, which is what is our trust strategy? Meaning, what data can we use? What are off limits to us? And who owns the accountability when AI is wrong? That is an important question, the trust strategy. And the next question I would ask is, are we building a scalable and repeatable enterprise capability, or are we looking for a point solution to solve a quick problem? That is really important to set the expectations right at the get-go so that you know what resources, capabilities you're going to invest, what kind of budget you need to put into place, and there's no misalignment from the start.
It does make sense. Um, it's exciting to hear your point of view because a lot of leaders they just well they see vendors or co-pilot or multiple solutions out there on the market, and they just run after those new and latest trends or things without giving it all that much thought and unfortunately aligning to their business strategy. And when you do that, you're just running after something because everybody else is investing in AI. But AI is a very big and broad thing, which actually I want to ask you a final question for today. What excites you the most about the future, about technology, the leadership community, and what are those conversations that you hear about the leaders are having about AI today?
So, what excites me most is really seeing technology leaders and CIOs evolve into possibility builders. And yes, they are managing risk. They are keeping the lights on and running the standard technology tasks, but they're also leaning into the upside and asking what is possible today that couldn't be done yesterday. So that degree of optimism coupled with rigor and discipline will define the next decade, in my opinion. And secondly, it's about the CIO community itself, because the pace of AI is turning this into a real learning ecosystem. In today's age, communities are not just for support. They give you the real competitive advantage. And I'm so excited to see CIOs and technology leaders leaning in, sharing best practices, what's working, what's not working, lessons learned, and sometimes even lessons behind the lessons with one another. And which is truly heartwarming. And this makes me feel so proud about our mission and what we do in building this community to enhance content, conversations, connections, and collaboration among the senior technology leaders across industry.
Thank you. I want to thank you for joining us. Nasheen Liu, partner, senior vice president of the CIO program strategy and the IT media group. You also have got the publication for CIOs and IT and those in the STEM field for executives. And we're actually going to put the links below in this video. So I want to thank you for sharing with us your points of view today. And I welcome everyone to follow the IT Media Group. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Alina. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and your audience.
Thank you.